one of the 12 apostles, mentioned sixth in the three gospel lists of Matthew, Mark, and Luke, and seventh in the list of Acts. The name, Bartholomew, means son of Phlemai, which was an ancient Hebrew name. This shows that Bartholomew was of Hebrew descent. Since Bartholomew is not a first name, many scholars identify him with Nathanael, who is mentioned in the Gospel of John. Philip was an old friend of Nathanael's, and brought him to Jesus. Nathanael was of Galilee, where Jesus found most, if not all, of the 12.
Hello my dear friends, happy that we are meeting again this weekend or for this coming week. One of the most wonderful words of Peter we can hear on Sunday in the Gospel, where he is saying, where can we go? You have Jesus, the life-giving words. In order to understand these words, my dear friends, I will take to the feast on Saturday, especially on the 24th of August. The Holy Church is celebrating the feast of Saint Bartholomew, one of the 12 apostles. Saint Bartholomew is not that much familiar to all people, but at the same time we can really understand who this person is. Of course, he is shown in the Acts of the Apostles that he was one of the witnesses as Jesus went to heaven. Who is Bartholomew? Actually, in the Gospel we can really try to understand that he might be Nathanael, who had a meeting with Jesus. It is a very peculiar meeting, my dear friends. Once he is speaking with Philip, and Philip is saying, we have seen Messiah. And he is saying that is Jesus from Nazareth. And Nathanael is questioning him with the words, what can come good from Nazareth? Of course, we understand, there are so many villages and towns, they have their own peculiar understanding from others. There is something, these fellows are like this village is like this nation is like that, and so on. With all these prejudices, but at the same time, Nathanael is speaking out what he is thinking. After that, my dear friends, he is seeing that Jesus is coming towards him, and Jesus is telling, hey, I have seen you. Then Nathanael is asking him, where did you see me? Jesus is telling him, before you met Philip, I saw you under the fig tree. That was enough, my dear friends, for Nathanael, and he is saying that you are the Messiah. You are the one who has come to redeem the world. You are the Redeemer. My dear friends, these words, this meeting with Jesus makes Nathanael a follower of Christ. We understand that Nathanael was a scribe. He was a theologian. He knew everything. But at the same time, here, the very important meeting that Jesus is telling him that I have seen you under the fig tree, that makes him a follower. Of course, we, the theologians, we try to understand or question how is it possible and what was happening under the fig tree and so on. My dear friends, maybe one of the explanations which I can give is, under the fig tree, there were so many things where people were discussing. Maybe it was one of a very important place, one of the important places where the scribes came together and thought about the future and what is the plan of God and all these things. Fig tree is actually a symbol for the Bible, that it is a life-giving place. Yes, my dear friends, Jesus is seeing Nathanael, Bartholomew, and he is understanding what really Bartholomew or Nathanael is having in his heart. My dear friends, in this moment, as Jesus just saw him, Nathanael understands that Jesus understood his heart. And especially as Nathanael is coming towards Jesus, Jesus is giving comment on him, saying that, hey, this is an Israelite who is having good heart, who doesn't have any false things in his heart. That means here we understand that Jesus and afterwards Nathanael, they understand each other. Their hearts are together. That makes, my dear friends, Nathanael, Bartholomew as a follower of Jesus. And afterwards, he might have gone to India, he might have gone to Mesopotamia, and at the end he came to Armenia, where he was martyred after the whole family of the king converted to Christianity, my dear friends. Today, Bartholomew is not very much famous, but at the same time we can really understand he, as a scribe, as a theologian, a person who knew the Bible very much, he is a person who can be touched just with the words or with a meeting with Jesus, my dear friends. Jesus changed his heart. Jesus took his heart for himself. He might have preached the Hebrew Matthew Gospel in all the world, and at the end he is dying for Christ. My dear friends, the Hebrew Matthew Bible is speaking something that Jesus has come for the Jews, and the Jews should convert to Jesus first and foremost. That means, as a scribe, he understood that Jesus came as a chosen for the people of God who were already chosen. My dear friends, today or in this weekend, as we hear the words of Peter, that Jesus, you have the life-giving words, we can understand from the feast of St. Bartholomew that meeting with Jesus is a great thing, my dear friends. I can just summarize the whole thing with one sentence. God sees the human. God sees the human. God sees you. God sees me. In the moment when God sees the human, when God sees me and you, my dear friends, we change ourselves. Our hearts blossom like anything. That is a beautiful thing which we can understand from the feast of St. Bartholomew and also in the Gospel on Sunday, my dear friends.
Eusebius mentions that Bartholomew evangelized India. The apostle preached there and had gave to his converts the Gospel of St. Matthew written in Hebrew, which was still treasured by the church. India was a name covering a very wide area, including even southwestern Arabia. Other traditions represent Saint Bartholomew as preaching in Mesopotamia, Persia, Egypt, Armenia, Lycaonia, Phrygia, and on the shores of the Black Sea. The manner of his death, said to have occurred at Albanopolis in Armenia, is uncertain. According to some, he was beheaded, according to others, skinned alive and crucified, head downward, by order of Astyages, for having converted his brother, Polemius, king of Armenia. On account of this latter legend, he is often represented in art, for example in Michelangelo's Last Judgment, as flayed and holding in his hand his own skin. His relics are thought by some to be preserved in the Church of St. Bartholomew in the island, at Rome. His feast is celebrated on the 24th of August.
That means God sees us. He sees our heart. He knows what we are having as a desire. What heart's desire we have, that our God wants to know. That is why let us open up our hearts. When we open up our hearts, then God comes to us and we give ourselves to God. That is the most beautiful thing which we can have in our life, my dear friends. I wish that you and I open our hearts, that God sees us so that we become the follower of God, we become the follower of Christ. This message, please share with everyone whom you meet, whom you speak, with whom you speak, and let us all become the followers of Christ, and so that we can become the children of God, my dear friends. I wish you all the best. We see you again. Bye-bye.